Hey everybody, and welcome back to Gay2k, a podcast for nostalgic millennial queers. I'm Sarah, and today I'm going to explore the film Bend It Like Beckham with my friend Sindu, who you may remember from the L Word pilot episode podcast. Sindu and I discussed the film, pressures of marriage from family, expectations related to our sexual orientation, and where we find queer stories when they aren't available for us and how that affects our journey as creatives. It's a lovely chat, and I'm so glad to be able to share it with you. Hey everybody, and welcome to Gay2k. Today I'm joined once again by my good friend Sindu, and we're going to talk about the film Bend It Like Beckham. The film stars Parminda Nagra, probably, right?
Nagra, yeah.
The film stars Parminda Nagra and Keira Knightley as two girls who play soccer. Okay. Do you remember the first time?
No. I don't think I saw it in high school, even though it would have come
Not
out
at
in high
all.
school. I feel like this was one of our like late night blockbuster runs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe freshman, sophomore year of college where
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing like somewhere in my mind, I remember seeing the cover of that DVD in Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And just like seeing a brown woman on the cover, and I was like, we're getting we have to.
Yeah, I don't even have any memories of before us renting it, because that is what I remember too. I remember us renting it. I don't even
Yeah.
remember knowing it existed, which is
No.
horrible because like why wouldn't I? But also why would I? I don't know. It's not like I was a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan and following Keira Knightley's career at that point in time.
I mean, Pirates hadn't even come out yet. I mean, this was, I think it was her
Yeah,
first.
2002. Yeah. But like
Yeah, and the guy from Mission Impossible, I don't know, the guy, the coach. Um,
Jonathan Rhys Meyers. Yeah.
yes, yeah, I think it was his first movie too, or this is the first time remember seeing him on screen.
Mhm. Um yeah, but certainly the first time I would have been aware of Keira Knightley was Pirates. So maybe it was like, "Oh, that film has Keira Knightley in it and a brown woman. Let's get it." And they're hugging on the cover of the video. Like
Yeah,
of
it's
course
a
we're going to be
very
like,
gay cover.
let's check that out.
Because
Uh,
it's sports and
because it's
it's okay if
sport.
you hug in sports.
Is it
Okay.
though? They talk about that a lot in the film, don't they?
They do. And I mean, I remember us talking about this too when we first watched it. It was supposed to be gay. I think the original screenplay had them in a relationship and no studio would fund it. And
Oof.
then Chada, the director, like rewrote the whole thing so that so it
Right.
wasn't as gay, but it's like she left in a lot of the queer parts.
Right. Yeah. I did. I was looking for a source, and the only thing I could find about like her saying that it was meant to be gay is basically like she's very cool with that interpretation, and also that the coach romance was a thing that was forced by the studio. Like the coach was originally supposed to be
Yeah,
significantly older. So maybe it was never like explicitly them getting together, but there was definitely some
yeah.
that the intimacy and all of those things that are in it are very innate.
I mean,
Um,
if the coach thing hadn't been part of it, we would have interpreted this as fully queer. Because
yeah.
it's 2002. Like this was a time when we were like looking for any sign at all.
Well, and if it came out in 2002 and we're watching it in 2005, we're like in the middle of our like queer exploration and explosion,
Yeah.
right? Like
I mean, not just us, like the whole country was in a queer
yeah.
exploration time period where like, it was like every state for itself in terms of who's going to legalize same-sex marriage. And then of course Canada was like, we're going to do the whole thing. And
hmm
it was very much in the zeitgeist. So I feel like even straight people at that time would have interpreted this as gay if the coach thing hadn't been like shoehorned in.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess yeah, let's go ahead and go into talking about the film. I did want to talk about, like, for me, I remember this, like, it was our first, like, it allowed you and I to talk about things that I had never really culturally been exposed to and thought were just like weird movie plots. It actually made me think of we had a friend, Derek, who was an RA, and he had one of his people on his floor basically tell him that until they had met him, they thought gay was just a Hollywood plot because they had never been exposed that they knew of to anyone gay, right? So they just thought it was a Hollywood plot line.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring this up because for me, the arranged marriage, the cultural pressure of marriage
Mm-hmm.
was something that I certainly wasn't aware of being a thing. And you're like, oh no, buddy. Like, let me tell you about my life.
Yeah. I mean, even then, like my parents hadn't fully committed to the whole like we're gonna pressure you into marriage thing at that time because I was really young. It didn't really start until I came out,
Mm,
but to them, uh, which took a while. But until that happened, like they it was just in the air. Like I knew it would happen at some point, and it was happening to my older cousins, and it was happening to like people in that I was had access to, that I was talking to. This like pressure to get married, and at a certain point, it's not even about being arranged or not. It's like it's time. Like
right,
you
yeah.
need to marry within the culture, and you need to pop out some babies, and then we don't care what else you do.
Hmm. Um, okay, so let's go over the plot because there are a few
Yeah,
scenes related to that thing that you're talking about that I think we
yeah,
can revisit. So the movie opens with Jess fantasizing about playing on the men's soccer team,
yes.
and I don't know
Like
enough
the
about,
England, like
yes,
England soccer team with with
with
Beckham.
David Beckham, who is the namesake of the film. I don't have any frame. I don't know anybody in England in 2002 to know if that, but I know that how big David Beckham was. It
Yeah.
would be comparable to me, to very recently the NBA versus the WNBA here, right? Like until just a couple
Mhm.
years ago, anybody could name a household name in the NBA, and nobody could name a household name in the WNBA.
Yeah.
And that's because the league was small and had kind of exploded and then died. And then I'm in Iowa, so of course I have a bias for the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Um, but yeah, so she's in a world where soccer is a love interest of hers, and
Mhm.
she has never, until Jules sees her playing with her friends in the park, been approached to play on a team with other women. She plays with her male friends in the park.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and I mean, I remember around this time, like around the time that women's soccer kind of took off in the U.S., I do remember that there was like a burst of junior leagues for girls. I remember playing when I was fifth grade, sixth grade.
mm,
So this was like mid 90s. And like I was horrible. But like we had people at our like games. Like parents did come and people were cheering us on, and it was weird. I remember even then thinking it was weird that like
so you're
soccer was popular
like
in the
we're
US.
we're not good. Why are you watching
Yeah.
us?
Yes, also that.
Mm,
Um But there was also that I still remember that iconic shot of, I don't know who it was, maybe it was Mia Hamm, but somebody after a goal, like a woman taking her shirt off, and she was in the sports bra. Do you remember this?
yes, not Mia Hamm, because in my mind I had that as Mia Hamm too, and that's probably just because like that's the name that I
That's the
know,
name.
and this is the event that I know. And I'm gonna look that up just real quick because I did the other night, but not. Brandy Chastain, who
Oh,
scored the winning penalty kick. Brandy Chastain, who wore the oh my god, Brandy Chastain, who scored the winning penalty kick in the 1999 World Cup. After she scored, she ripped her jersey off and was
yes,
running around in a sports bra, and that was incredibly controversial,
it
despite
was.
like literally not less skin than you would see on a man doing the same thing. And honestly, like I don't know.
But at that time, you weren't really seeing like women in sports bras like running outside or anything like that.
Yeah,
Um,
very true.
it wasn't that kind of culture yet, which is wild to think about. Like right now, it seems totally normal to see a woman in like I don't know, like
Yeah, people
yoga
walk.
pants and a
Yeah,
sports bra walking her dog.
people walk into
And
Starbucks after their
yeah,
yoga class wearing sports bras and stretchy leggings, and that's just normal. Um, yeah, so she meets Jules in the park, and Jules is like, hey, I have this team that I play for. You should come try out. And Jess is like, I don't know. My parents are probably not going to like it. It's not going to happen. Um, which is a fair thing for her to say because
yeah.
they don't. So it becomes this moment of her sneaking around. I don't even remember the excuse that what is she telling them that she's
She tells them that she got a summer job
right? Yes.
and that
And
she pretends to go to the job, but she's actually going to practice.
mhm.
And like I remember like when this was happening, like watching it, and you guys were like, "Why would she do all of this?" And I was like, "Why wouldn't she? This is what you do.
Mhm.
This is like how you get around the strictures that your parents put up for you."
Yeah. Um, yeah, I it's not yeah, that's not a life that I comprehended very easily when watching the film. Not because, I'd never snuck around my parents to do things, but I'd never done it for a hobby, which is what I
Yeah.
at the beginning of the film I interpreted soccer as for her, but it's not. She's incredibly talented, even with the star on the team, Jules, Keira Knightley's character,
Mhm.
who has played in this type of environment for years. Jess is superior and in
Yeah.
every facet. Um, and
Like
so
immediately they
instantly,
start being trained together because
hmm
the coach identifies the two of them as being the only ones who could like attract what is it, a scout.
hmm I love that we're like sports
A sports
terms.
ball.
Who's
So
the people that come to watch the games? The scouts. Um, yeah,
and
and
and like her sister is also sneaking around with her boyfriend slash fiance, and like the wedding of the sister is like the backdrop, and
yeah,
provides a lot of the structural like beat elements. um yeah, and then the coach romance that's kind of like wedged in there.
yeah. So two big points are happening in her life, and one revolves around a few big moments for the soccer team, and simultaneously, while those big moments for the soccer team are happening, stuff is happening in her sister's wedding or engagement um, situation where she kind of has to choose between one or the other, and constantly they kind of come to a head of her running back and forth between one. The Her sister is a super interesting character
Yeah.
because her sister, who is sneaking around with her fiance, when they find out about just going to soccer and her parents kind of ban her from it, she is okay getting her to. Um, they have to go out of town. She's okay covering for her competition where they're in
Hmm.
Hamburg, Germany, because at that point she thinks Jess has the hots for the coach. But if it were about her being with Jules,
Hmm.
the sister is the one who is weirdly supportive of her as a person exploring her own things, but horribly not supportive of any sexual variation.
Yeah. I mean, kind of tracks for the time period.
Yeah.
um Her sister is like painfully normal to the
Yeah.
extent where she like I still remember in and this is jumping ahead a bit, but in the final like climactic scene where the the wedding is going on, and Jules's mom freaks out because she thinks they're in a relationship, and she takes her shoes and, like, she flips out.
Dude, I love that
And
scene.
I love that scene so much. And then the sister pulls Jess into the limo that they're gonna use to, ride away as a couple, and she says, don't you want all this? This is the best day of your life. And Jess is like, I want more than this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it is a very kind of a small life that our sister wants.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very like, straight, sanctioned, family
Yeah.
approved
And I
kind
mean,
of.
good for her, right? If that's what you
Yes,
want, that works for you,
I guess.
sure. But
Yeah.
that's not like a thing that you have to, yeah. I don't know. I think I mean, it's not always a point of evolution that we have come to this point where, like, you can be aware of what you want, and if that's small, it's fine, but, like, you don't have to push it on other people. If you've come to the point of what you want is outside of what is expected of you, right? Like, do you want it for
Right.
yourself because you've explored other things and now have come to terms with this is actually the right thing for me, right? Versus,
But,
like,
like, I mean, it feels really kind of like superficial, though, because, like, she's not. It's not the that she. It's not wanting the partnership and the beauty of, like, a cozy family life. Like, she's literally dreaming about the single day where she gets to be a princess, and that's where it loses me, and that's where, like, the whole,
mhm.
like, wedding industry thing also loses me, where I'm like, it's just a fucking day, like, who cares?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
kind of was like, I hope something horribly wrong goes at my wedding so everyone will remember the day and then it'll be a fun story to talk about. But I don't know, like, this sort of capitalist packaging of what partnership is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And did
Absolutely.
you ever dream about your wedding when you were little? Because I didn't, and apparently that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I don't have, like, any, like, I remember wanting this and this and this. So, like, no, I'm sure it's a thing that I occasionally fantasized about. I used to daydream about Usher in a suit. I thought he would look good in a suit.
Usher?
Usher. Usher. Mhm.
Oh,
That's, like, the one male icon that I'm like, I'm okay with him being at the end of the aisle. I don't know.
oh.
This is like from when I was like 9. Like, that's the last time I remember, like, fantasizing, like, about a guy, like, waiting for me at the end of the aisle. I don't remember anything about what I looked like, but
Right.
there was Usher, and he looked very good in a suit, and he was still, like, at that time he would have been like a 17-year-old boy still or whatever, right? Like, if I
Yeah.
was in like third grade, I'm, like, fantasizing this older man, but he's really still just like a teenager, right? Um
I mean, as far as, like, the type of man you could have picked goes, like, he is the most lesbian man.
that is a fascinating analysis of Usher. I don't know. I don't think very many straight women would agree with you. Um but I'll let you
Really?
have it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's not okay. All right.
I don't know. I don't have a crush on Usher right now that I think of. Like, I mean, he's not like,
I don't even know what he looks like right now. I remember what he looked
I
like in,
mean,
like, the mid 2000s.
he aged pretty well from, I mean, obviously he looked different in 95 than he did in, like, 2003, but from, like, 2003 forward, he
Hmm,
aged gracefully.
okay.
Um
All I'm saying is, if you told me that he was a woman with her breast bound, I would be like, okay, that tracks.
yeah, no. Okay, fair.
Um,
I don't even know if I don't know what I'm talking about. But yes, there's a suave softness to Usher. Like,
yes.
he's like this romantic, sweet guy singing about, like, singing in his pretty voice about romance. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
that guy, I could marry him. Oh my god, what are we talking
Okay. Back to
about?
the movie.
Okay, so they
So a couple
okay.
of times the coach asks Jess if she's promised to anybody. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I didn't realize he had asked it so many times until I rewatched the movie, and I was like, dude, give it a rest. She said no.
Yeah, and the phrase promised. Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. Like, has your hand been given in betrothal to a man? Like, what?
um,
I mean, clearly she's like being pushed towards certain men in
mm,
these events, but like no one's trying to arrange her marriage or anything.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. The coach kind of annoyed me the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they did as much as they could with him without taking anything away from Jules or Jess, which kind of left him not a super deep character. Like they're like, we're gonna have him here, but it's not going to change anything about the other characters. So they give him like a little bit of a bad background where he can be like the sympathetic guy and need somebody to open up to about his past, and she can kind of encourage. It's so funny to me because it's such an obvious parallel where she's encouraging him to mend his relationship with his dad while Jules has a bad relationship with her mom, and I'm like, this is an
Yeah.
interesting lazy parallel. It's like, I see what you did there. Dude, I have so much to say about Jules's mom. um
She is great. I mean,
It is so funny. There are like 8 comedic beats that I literally laugh so hard at. The first one was, she said, "There's a reason Sporty Spice is the only one without a fella," which, oh
but she was very much like, as long as it's happening over there, I'm totally in support of it because it's not happening to me. But when it's happening in my own house,
yeah,
it's an issue. And which is hilarious because that's how
yeah,
a
no,
lot of South Asian parents feel, my own
yeah,
included. Because I remember having this conversation when gay marriage was legalized, and they were like, "Yeah, good for them. It's over there. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to look
yeah.
at it. Like it's not
And
happening to me."
it'll never happen in my household, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
that's
it will
how,
never
yeah.
happen to my children, and so it doesn't matter.
I mean,
And it's like one of those things where like if somebody else's kid in the South Asian community had come out, my parents would not have talked shit about them. Like they were like, "Oh, that's good. I feel bad for the kid and the family and they have to deal with all of this, but that's fine." But then as soon as it happened in their own household, they like flipped shit. And it was like Armageddon.
yeah.
Yeah, which I mean that's a pretty normal thing I think for a lot of South Asian parents to like a normal position for them to take. So it's interesting that in the movie it's Jules and her
Yeah.
family.
Well, I mean, yeah, I completely related to Jules and her mom and that dynamic, like literally like to a T. Like just exactly what
Mhm.
you're saying, like maybe even more so. Like my mom was like very, very, very um very much a fan of gay culture and gays in the media and all of those things, but then like her panic point when I came out was, what about my grandbabies? Ugh. Also,
Yeah.
I have children. Like,
Yeah, also like the
yeah,
grandbabies were fine in the
yeah.
end. Um like my favorite moment is when she's like trying to make an effort and she learns the offside rule. This is a scene that was referenced in Ted Lasso. When I watched Ted Lasso, they like talked about explaining the offside rule with mustard or something, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's from Bend It Like Beckham. So it is this like iconic kind of scene
Mm-hmm.
where she's like she puts her pride and her own issues aside and like is trying a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very sweet.
And I don't know if we've really explained, but so yeah, Jess and Jules, by the way, I'm going to flip those two names 100 times,
Yeah.
are playing in the same team. They are growing incredibly close in friendship, and Jules is kind of the one that's helping her sneak around to play. And there's this backdrop story of a coach that is the safety net for both of them to be straight, basically. Like they both have a coach that they crush on, and it becomes a point of contention between them, but really only briefly in the grand scheme of the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
But like with that being said, like there are these lots of moments where Jess's said there are lots of moments where Jules's mom is interpreting things that's going on between them, between Jules and society, as Jules being gay. There's a moment where Jules's mom is listening to them talk at the bottom of the stairs, and they're talking about how Jess almost kissed the coach, didn't even actually kiss him,
Right.
but Jules feels betrayed, and Jules, she says like, "You've hurt me more than anyone ever could." Like Jules is very dramatic
what
about.
do you know about love? And like these are the things that the mother hears, and she's like, "Oh, all of my fears are confirmed."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which then leads to the scene that Sindu mentioned earlier, which is at at Jess's sister's, whose name is Pinky. I don't know what that's short for, but that is a interesting.
It's not short for anything. It's just it's a very common Punjabi like nickname.
Okay.
Yeah.
Learning something new still. At Pinky's wedding, they're about to say goodbye, and Jules's mom pulls up and sees that Jess is wearing shoes that Jules gave her to wear to the wedding, because instead of buying shoes
with the money
instead of buying shoes with the money that her mom gave her, she bought soccer cleats. And then so Jules' mom pulls up and is like, she says a whole bunch of things about her relationship with her daughter, but the line that is killer is, "Get your lesbo feet out of my shoes."
Yes.
Because the shoes she's wearing actually belong to Jules' mom. And then the follow-up too is just comic gold, because not just with Jules' mom, but with Jess's whole family, they're like, what? Why was she mad about the shoes? Like, at no point in time do they circle back.
Which I love, because then they're like, wedding's over, everyone's kind of chilling at her house, and they're still talking about it. They're like, why did she take her shoes? Like, all the old ladies are like, I don't know, but they're like, no, white people are always complaining when we do our like cultural events. I was like, yeah, okay, that's a fair interpretation.
There's always just some white lady doing something crazy at one of our events. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, hopefully not, but sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. During the day of her sister's wedding, there is a match in England the same day where a scout is coming from the United States to check out Jules and Jess. So during the day, Jess is literally living two lives. She is at her sister's wedding, and then her best friend Tony, who is revealed to be gay.
He kind of takes the entirety of the gay subplot, but he gets her father's permission to take her to the game, which she plays the second half of and wins, and the scout is impressed. And there's a scene in the locker room where they're like trying to redress her in a sari, and it's kind of adorable. The entire soccer team is like just like wrapping her in this sari. And then she goes back to the reception, and that's when things kind of deteriorate.
Yeah. And during that whole point, they're still like broken up, right? Jess and Jules are still in their fight. They don't make up.
I think as soon as Jess arrives for the second half of the match, they kind of make up immediately.
Okay. Yeah. So then her friend Tony, who was one of the boys that she played soccer with in the park, and everybody assumed was in love with her for his whole life. Mm-hmm. Probably because he was like, this person seems like a safe person to crush on. Yeah.
Because she's completely uninterested.
Yeah, exactly. But they're good friends, and his coming out scene is, I I don't know if they were just like, we just need another place to talk about David Beckham, but
It was clunky at
it was
best.
clunky. It was funny, but it was really, really. It seemed not so sincere because I don't think that's the way that people typically come out. And I don't know, maybe it is, but he was like, they were talking about. She was talking about how much she wants to be able to bend the ball around the net like Beckham and score,
Mhm.
and he was like, I like Beckham too. And then she's like, well, yeah, of course, he's the best. Who doesn't? And he's like, no, Jess, I really like Beckham.
God, I
And there's
hated
just
that
like
scene
this,
even back then. I was like, this is the worst way to come out.
and there's just like this quiet, close, very close moment up on like it's an
Hmm.
extreme close up. It's like this much of his face when he's like staring back at her. And that was like it. Like she was like, oh, okay. And then later, after the wedding, after Jules's mom's crazy like explosion, they find out that they are offered scholarships to go play in California, to go to college. And
Santa Clara.
you know what? Sure.
I just like the way they say it. Sounds so exotic and amazing.
And okay, no, sorry. I was trying to talk about Tony. Tony has a brilliant idea then in that moment that that he's going to use that to basically leverage his own escape out of this community and be like, yeah, we're going to.
Oh, you interpreted that as him like trying to escape as well.
I was in my mind, I was like, I hope, and maybe this is not it. Maybe he was gonna just stay there and actually marry her, and everything would have like fallen back into place, and that's sad for him. But I was hoping, like, oh no, they're both. He's gonna go with her to California, but they're not gonna get married until after.
Oh. See, that would have been like if that had been his intention, then that's kind of shitty that he didn't get to do that.
Yeah,
Just because she
that
wanted
was
to
my
live an
thought.
honest life suddenly.
I was like, oh no, poor Tony. I literally thought they were gonna go live out the plot of your Marriage of a Thousand Lies book.
I mean, when I was watching it again, I was like, "Oh my God,
like
how much
how
does this book affect, or how much does this movie affect my book?" Like, soccer became rugby, which
mm-hmm.
is fine. But also like there's a Jules kind of character. Um, the Tony vision where he was like, "Yeah, let's get married." I was like, "Okay." Something pinged in the back of my head and like lodged there. But I really think like when I was watching it, I felt like this was really the first time I had seen any version of what I was going through represented on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Not even it was not even the same. Like they're a different religion, a different ethnicity, a different language,
Mm-hmm.
and like a completely different country. They're from Punjab, Punjab, India, and I'm from Sri Lanka. But it's like even then, that was the first time I'd seen anything like that represented on screen, and I remember like having this feeling like, oh my God, I want to give that feeling to other people. And so when
Yeah.
I started writing, like that was what was in my head. Like I want someone to feel like I felt
Right.
when I watched this movie when they read my book.
Well, and how much, like, let's just pause for a minute. Like, you, at the time that we would have been watching that movie,
Hmm.
you were not on the path to be an author. You were not
No.
out of the closet. This film, seeing a narrative being told about yourself, like, yeah, like definitely gave you the idea to be able to have the freedom that you never, like, that was not a reality that was presented to you in any way.
No. I mean, I didn't want to play soccer, but like I want like for me the writing was the soccer. Like
Yeah.
I was still in those classes and I was like, "Oh, I just can't do it full time. I can't like make this my career." But then like I don't know if it's, if it's as one to one as watching the film and then feeling this way, but I was definitely like, well, why not? At a
Mm-hmm.
certain point in during that time period, I remember being like, well, why not? Why do I have to make this a hobby? Why can't I actually pursue it full time and really like commit myself to it? And a lot of the why not was because of my family, because disappointment, and I didn't want to be like, my mom was like, you're the oldest grandchild. If you go astray, everyone goes astray. I was like, is that bad? Like if I go astray, like go awry and do something, completely different for my career and be queer out all of this, that doesn't mean that everyone else is necessary. Like all they're gonna feel is that, oh, these are options for me. And weirdly, like none of my cousins like went astray. All of them are like completely narrow path kind of people, except my brother who's a voice actor. But like, yeah, it didn't actually work.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of power.
Surprise.
I know. I kind of wish I did.
Yeah.
But a surprising amount of my cousins got arranged marriages and just kind of like did the thing um,
Mm.
as usual. I guess like that pressure is just so enormously
Yeah.
powerful.
I've talked to another friend who's Southeast Asian, and like the idea for some of them that like it's just easier because the dating world is so like fake and insincere that like
Yeah.
you have this like foundation of common things, at least when you go get in an arranged marriage, that like you have culturally the same values, which is
Hmm.
basically what internet dating is anyways. You spend all this time trying to find somebody who matches all of the things that you want for your life, like.
Hmm. I think I really think being queer is the only thing that saved me from that, because I knew that like the whole South Asian man thing was never going to work for me because
Mm.
I wasn't really attracted to men for the most part anyway. But even when I was, like, they wanted a particular kind of straight performance from their wife, which I could not offer and
Yeah.
was not willing to give. So I was like, I don't want to, like, as soon as there was a South Asian man, this happened even with Sam, who's
Hmm.
gay but South
Yeah.
Asian. And whenever we were, I don't know if you remember this, but whenever we're in the same place physically and we're in a straight environment, he like got super straight and acted as if I was his girlfriend, which was
Yeah.
hilarious, but also like terrifyingly just awful. It made me so furious, and it took a long time for us to like talk through and unlearn all of that. But that's what I knew would happen. Even with a
Hmm.
man who was really awesome, he would like snap into the South Asian role as soon as he was in the right environment. And to watch it happen with the gay South Asian men that we knew, there were three of them in the Christian Alliance,
Hmm.
and it happened with each and every one of them. And I watched it happen. I was like, oh God, no, I
Hmm.
can't be in that kind of environment ever.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that Jess in the movie is more attracted to somebody outside of her culture, because it means that she has more freedom to
Yeah.
explore herself and be herself.
Yeah, except for at the end of the film, dude, the coach dude is like playing cricket with her dad and a bunch of other Indian dudes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um.
okay, so this is a sidebar, but some white dudes when they marry like an ethnic person will like completely absorb that ethnicity as their own, and
Right.
like, like I've known white guys who married like Chinese women who like go to China every year and like, study Chinese literature, and they like go in fully. They're 100%. I've seen it happen with Eastern, like even white men who marry Eastern Europeans, where they're like, "This is my culture now. This is what I eat. This is what I like. This is what I speak. This is how I
Yeah.
feel about things." And so maybe that's what's happening with.
Yeah. And I guess yeah, I get that too. I know So Courtney's family is Catholic. And I don't know, her mom was talking to me about going to mass because everybody was going to mass. Um, and I was like, I'm not Catholic. Like, that's the fact of it. And she was like, she said my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, like they had already been married. Katie and Randy had been married. And she was like, well, Randy's not Catholic either, but he goes to mass. Well, a year later he converted to Catholicism. So
Hmm.
like, yeah, exactly. Like that. I don't know, but I mean, I think that's more of just like because they wanted their children to be raised Catholic. I don't know, but yeah, it comes from that same place of like that familial pressure. And if you don't have like a strong, like, I'm not Catholic, but I'm also not anything, like it's not like I could be like, oh, I go to this other church. Like,
But I don't know.
nope.
Maybe I'm just not as feeling as generous as you are because I'm like I think there's like a sort of cultural vampirism here that where like white generally white people but mostly white men I've seen like feel entitled to other people's cultures in a way where they
Mm-hmm.
can like, pick and choose and they're like yeah this is fine like I will just absorb this culture as my own without really having a lot of critical thought about should you like at
Right.
least think about like did my ancestors kill your ancestors and then if my taking of your culture then becomes problematic because of that.
Right. Well, and I think, and yeah, I mean, I know you and I have talked about this for as long as we've known each other. Like the difference between uh, admiring and appreciating versus appropriating is a thin line at times, but it's like once people cross it, they really cross it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like, going to your yoga studio and saying namaste at the end of the yoga practice, and then like booking a trip to an ashram in India where like you're going to exploit the locals in order to have
mm-hmm.
your eat, pray, love moment. Like that, those are two different things. Yeah. And once you cross the line, like there's, yeah, you
Yeah.
can fall down that rabbit hole pretty fast.
Yeah. Okay, back to Bend It Like Beckham so we
Yes.
can close out talking about this movie. They are offered scholarships,
Yeah.
and Tony proposes to Jess so that she can go to college, and maybe because he wanted to go to California. But aside from that, so that she can go to college, and then so that they can have their scholarship moment. And she's like, "No, dude, I'm not going to marry you. Here's what's going on. I want to go play soccer. I've got the scholarship." Her There's this sideline with her dad, which is actually like one of the only things that flushes out either of her parents about was it cricket that he played?
Yeah, he was a really good cricket player. He's a bowler. And he tried to play in the English cricket clubs when, like, which like are different from American, community leagues where
Mm-hmm.
like it is about wealth and it's about money and it's about like how much can you, cricket, it tends to be a very like upper class sport.
Yeah.
So, at least in England. And so he tried to play at the cricket clubs and they wouldn't have him because they were racist. And he decided, like, oh, I'm just going to stop playing cricket. And at the end of the movie, he like finally admits, like, that didn't hurt anyone but me.
Mm-hmm. And so that is kind of the turning point for him to be like, go pursue this thing that you love. And that is a huge turning point in the movie. So Jess and Jules are both going to go live in California together forever. um,
Right. Yeah.
they're going to go play at university, and you see them like headed off to the airport. And at this point in time, Jess had already told, I don't even remember the coach's name, but she had told the coach that she didn't want to be with him because she was going to be going off to California.
Joe. His name was
Oh
Joe.
my God, so many J's.
Yeah. That's a horrible thing in in like any type of fiction, like it's one of
Yeah.
the first things you learn, like don't name two characters with the same like
Don't
first
write a
letter.
love triangle where all three parts
Yeah.
have the letter J.
The only reason I remembered the Joe was because Jules is in the car at one point with her mom, and her mom's like, "But you like play sports and wear sports bras, and like you never want to shop with me, and so you're gay." And Jules is like, "No, we were in both in love with our coach, Joe. Like man, Joe, coach,
Yes,
man, Joe."
yes.
And she like says it over and over. And it's like Joe is such a boring name too. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just not a fan of the character. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he comes to the airport.
After she had already ended things with him, this
Yeah,
guy has the 2000s, the Y2K audacity to decide that he has to make a bold declaration of
you have to
love.
be persistent. If you're persistent, she will eventually say yes.
Um, and the only thing that's changed for him, or for either of them, is that he is going to remain a coach of the women's team instead of going to be an assistant coach for the men's team. And he tells her this, and they reconcile because apparently that was enough. I don't know why. um,
Maybe
like
she's
a,
just in a good mood because she's about to escape her family, and she's like, "Yeah, this is fine."
yeah.
Which I mean, to me, I think they break up as soon as she like lands in California.
Mm-hmm,
Like
for
he might
sure.
be hot for England, but I mean, California. If
Yeah,
she's into that
whatever
kind
she's
of
gonna.
dude,
Yeah.
like California is like you know you throw a stone and you hit a hot
Yeah.
white man,
Yes.
and he
For
doesn't have
sure.
much else going for him. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
so maybe that's why he's playing cricket with the dad. He's like trying to get in family so that she
trying
can't break
to
up with him
trying to
now.
work the system.
Yeah,
Oh man. Um, but the end scene is so weird because Joe and Jess are making out in the airport, and the David Beckham is walking across like a private skywalk on top of, over them with a bunch
yeah,
of security
with
guards.
Victoria Beckham
With,
apparently.
yes, with Victoria
Yeah.
Beckham. And I'm pretty sure it was neither of them, but some extras that looked vaguely like Posh Spice and David Beckham were walking across the airport. And despite the fact that they're like right behind them, they're like making out, and like neither of Jules or Jess's
Yeah.
families notice because they're so enthralled by David Beckham walking by.
Yeah.
And then the moment's over and they go get on a plane together. And there's a
Mhm.
little like in scene of, as we've talked about, Joe playing cricket with um Jess's dad, and like it shows like pictures of like everybody having like a picture of their soccer team and in the various houses. And
Mhm.
um her sister's pregnant, I think.
Her sister's very pregnant and very happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. I think we've already alluded to where we're going with this topic. Um, this is gay. They're gay.
Yes.
I don't even, to call it fan fiction is humorous to me because it barely is fan fiction. But
Yeah. I mean, the movie leaves things open enough that we can assume that they got to California and discovered that, who cares about Joe, Coach Joe Man? They can be gay with each other.
right.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't last. I mean, who knows, right? Like you said, California's big and Jess is probably bi. Sure.
Probably. Yeah.
So whatever. But yeah, no, she definitely doesn't stay with Joe, and they definitely have a moment in college. There's
Mhm.
no way they don't have a moment in college.
I mean, they're gonna presumably room together too, right?
Mm.
At that point, like they are
Yeah.
going to go be roommates and live together on a soccer team.
Yeah.
College women's soccer, you're telling me that at least 2/3 of that team is not gay.
Yeah, they're all struggling with that same thing at the very moment. They all have their own best friends on various
Yes.
soccer teams who they
Yes.
are very intimate with, and it's
Mm-hmm.
confusing. Thank you for listening to me and Sindu discuss the film Bend It Like Beckham. There is a bonus episode where we discuss the fan fiction element of stories when we can't find our own queer stories. And we talk a little bit about AI and maybe even get into some politics while discussing that. That will be up sometime next week. And in the meantime, you can find me on social media or email me at gay2kpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining.